In this screencast, I'm now going to show how to use Adobe Camera Raw to edit the tonal ranges of your images. At this point, we've gotten our pictures from our computer onto our drive. And what we're going to do next is open a picture that we're interested in Adobe Camera Raw. How do you do that? You hold down the Control button on your keyboard and you click on the picture that you want to open. Or right-click on it if you have a right-click side on your mouse. And you go to Open in Camera Raw. Should be right there. Not Open With, although it might be there too. You want Open in Camera Raw. And you'll get this program opening up. Slowly but surely. Can everybody find that on their computer? Open in Camera Raw? Okay. So this is what you have when you're working Camera Raw. You have your picture displayed quite large. If it's not taking up the whole screen, there might be a button right here that clicks to sort of fill your screen. And on the right side here, we have a lot of controls over how our image looks. The top control right here under Basic says white balance, right, as shot. Now, what's a JPEG? I thought I was shooting RAW. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I shot JPEGs. I have RAW elsewhere. So today I was shooting a JPEG. If you're shooting JPEGs, you'll see that the white balance is either auto, custom, or as shot. But you have these sliders down here saying temperature and tint. Now temperature is really what's controlled by white balance. As you drag your temperature left and right, you'll see your picture becoming more yellow or more blue. Now you can do that all you want and sort of try to get it to look right, but you can automatically adjust this temperature by sampling a white point. And the way you do that is by using this control right here called the white balance tool. And you simply click on something that should be white. So this white shirt is a good thing. Eyeballs are a good thing. Teeth are not. Teeth are generally yellow. And if you try to white balance off of something yellow, it looks weird. So did you see that change? My temperature went up, my tint went down when I did this click. Here, I'll do it again. Let me zero this out so you can see it from the beginning. This is what it was. It looks okay. Let's go ahead and do a white balance and see how it changes. Now, what's right? Well, what looks right to you? Honestly, what do I do with my pictures? I do a lot. Like you see this dark area right here? I'd like to see more information there. So you remember what we called that second light, or that card that we use to reflect light when we're doing lighting? The gray card is what we metered off of. We used a big white card. Fill card, exactly. And here we have a slider called Fill Light. And when you click and drag that slider up, the shadow areas kind of drastically open up. You'll see that everything opens a little bit, but the shadow areas open drastically more than everything else. I'm going to pull down the exposure, since by doing that I sort of pushed up the higher exposure areas into being washed out. Now I'm going to pull them back down a little bit. If you notice, whenever you pull these sliders around, you have this thing up here called the histogram moving around. Your histogram is just simply a bar graph of the number of pixels that are a certain darkness, starting over here, which is totally black, to here, which is totally white. And really, you just want to not have big spikes on either white or black. You can't get that much information from there. And then I might like to have a little more black. You see how now I have this spike here? I'm getting a little more punchiness in my picture by pulling up this slider here called blacks. So by adjusting these sliders, and generally what I use most are exposure, fill light, and blacks. Brightness, contrast, recovery are sliders that I'd hold off on for today. The other slider that I want to talk about down here is clarity, which increases localized contrast. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. So if you're looking at something that's quite light and quite dark right next to another, when you push up clarity, you'll get an increase in that difference. So watch what happens. You see how the camera got darker and the hand got slightly lighter? Watch, see how it sort of offsets it? See the camera getting darker and the hand getting slightly lighter? What clarity does is increases the sort of crispness of your image visually by increasing the difference between sort of adjacent light and dark areas. It's sort of harder to see when we're zoomed out. But you see how it sort of looks like a harder, sort of older image when you push the clarity up? And here I'll pull it back down. And now it looks a little more digital and recent. Right, clarity. See that difference? You see it on the screen here? On my screen. Yeah, you can see the difference, right? Look at how glasses are rendered. Either with regular, right? It looks fine. But as you start to push your clarity up, notice how that differentiation happens and increases more and more. I'm looking right here. So we see that? Any questions about clarity? So once you're done with whatever you want to do, you hit done. And then here in Bridge, you'll see that you've made adjustments to an image when you have this little icon near your thumbnail. Okay. Let's go ahead and let me show you the difference in white balance with a raw picture. I'm sorry, there's one difference. So with our white balance slider, our temperature slider, when I shot a JPEG, it starts in the middle. Here, when I have a raw picture, my temperature is expressed in what's called degrees Kelvin. You could Google that. It's a way of expressing color. And I also have all these other white balances available, which are the same options that I have on my camera. And I could sort of apply a white balance to this picture, which, as you see, is just adjusting my temperature and tint. And as we know, I can simply adjust that myself by using the white point tool and clicking something that's supposed to be white, like the wall or the paper. Now notice this was a really weird lighting situation with different color lights. So if I click in one of these shadows, I'll have a very different color cast. And it's up to me to decide which I like. Okay, so everybody see all those differences going on? Am I moving too fast? Please review the video if I've moved too fast. I'm going to stop the video now and